Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are back in Shimakaze. And we are joined by none other than Rin, our friend. She's going to be in the Incomparable, and this is one of the first times she's taken Incomparable out. And I tried to tell her, she saw what happened to the first Incomparable at the beginning of the first match that we played together in the night, when we just yeeted him into oblivion for going broadside. And I explained before we started the match that as long as you don't go broadside, you'll be fine. Right? Just don't go broadside when you can be shot at. It's a bad idea. Now, I'm in the Shimakaze, one, because I can spot and be a useful person for her, but two, because I want to prove, once again, that not only am I a battleship main, but I am a highly capable destroyer player. I may not be top echelon destroyer player, but I know what the f*** I'm talking about when I start talking about destroyers not doing their jobs. And there's a couple people, you know who you are, that like to get into my comments section every time I mention a freaking destroyer player, and then just start going off on tangents about how bad I am at the game, and how destroyer players can do no wrong, and battleships are useless. Now look at the bright side here. I am an equal opportunity bitcher. Alright, that's just the way I am. I can't help it. I see something, I say something. It's been ingrained into me from all the years working in factories. Right? You see something, you say something. And I have a job to do. And that is, oh god, island. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. We just needed to pick somebody up on the beach there. There was a couple of Navy SEALs, or the Japanese equivalent. We just needed to pick them up. Now, you'll notice that, look, gearing is spotted. By the way, this is like the worst case scenario for a Shimakaze, by the way. There are 3 enemy destroyers. Every single one of them are gunboats. And we're on a tiny map with lots of islands that are trying to get me killed. Because the Shima, much like the Kaba, cannot turn very well. So you gotta be careful. It's a very long destroyer. And we hit two torpedoes on the enemy gearing. And he somehow survives. Explain that to me, Wargaming. I am sick and tired of watching destroyers get hit with multiple gigantimum torpedoes and surviving. It's stupid. They should not have the damage saturation that everybody else hits. They already have no citadel. So why do they have damage saturation? It makes no sense. Get rid of it. Destroyers should not have damage saturation. If they eat a torpedo, they should be dead. Considering how devastating a torpedo is against a battleship, which is built to survive multiple torpedo hits, it makes no sense that a destroyer that is a third of the size and has no extra... Oh, by the way, Rin's dead. This is the curse of Rin, by the way. Every single time we play together, when I get a video, she's usually bottom of the leaderboard. And that's not her fault. She does a good job most of the time, but it just so happens that every single time she ends up having a bad time, I end up with a game that I can post. That's just the way YouTube works. I don't make the rules, that's just how it works. But anyway, it's just funny because we literally talked about that right before the match starts. It's like, man, so far we've both done pretty well, and we haven't had a game where I get a game and you end up bottom of the leaderboard, and then this happened. but anyway, I thought it was funny. She got yeeted for going broadside right at the beginning, which is the one thing that we talked about. But you'll see that not only do I go back, I am actively trying to find this gearing and get rid of him. And so gearing, actually, I get spotted here because this gearing is a RGA mod gearing, which is terrifying. But good news is, I knew that he was going to be a dead man. And that's when we get pinched by the Marceau. Now, I can't think of... There are very few ships that are worse to get pinched by than a gearing shooting me with RGA, a Marceau for backup, and a fucking Michelangelo nearby. Like I said, worst case scenario, right? We don't have the ability to stick around and have a good time here. We gotta get out of here. Like, I know what happens if I stick around. So we are dropping smoke to guard us from the Marceau. We're going to set ourselves up to get out of there. Now, we go ahead and we drop one set of torpedoes out there for the Michelangelo, and then I'm going to save 2 sets of torpedoes for the Montana as we break away. Because, again, just because I'm trying to bug out doesn't mean I can't be effective. And this is one thing that destroyer players don't do very well. You can actively be aggressive and get away without getting yourself killed immediately, right? Like, you just got to pay attention to what's around you, what's going on, and do your job, all right? I am in literally worst case scenario as we hit 2 torpedoes on the Michelangelo, and we get a couple of torpedo hits on the Montana as well. But I am in like the worst case scenario here. I get the cap and I have an out, right? I am on my way. I'm trying to get away. I know that Marceau is coming, right? So I know that I got to get out of here. He's smelling. You can see him on the minimap. We've got him spotted right now. I am out of here. I cannot afford to get into a fight with a goddamn Marceau. So I've got my out, and I'm getting out, right? Like, we captured the base, we've spotted, and watch as this Marceau turns to try to come after me, because he has twist and track or perceptive, but you can see, I know he's faster than me, so I am actively begging my team, because I don't want to get in a gunfight with him. I know what happens, but you'll see that nobody takes a shot, and this is a thing that drives destroyer players crazy, and I get it. I 100% get it. But here he knocks out my engine initially, which is terrifying, because again, I don't have a chance in hell of winning a gunfight with this Marceau. He's full health, I'm not, and he does so much damage, but then he makes the mistake of going behind the island here. I'm trying to wiggle as best I can. He knocks out my engine again, but as he goes behind the island, he drops spot. And he's no longer chasing me, which means gives me a chance to get outside of the 5-kilometer detection. Now, I am not running any sort of fancy build or anything like that. This is simply a double concealment Raizo Tanaka build that gives you more torpedo damage and all the concealment, right? Like, we are straight up a 5-kilometer concealment Shima. We don't have a lot of health. Our strength is our concealment, right? We use that to our advantage. We outspot everybody except for French destroyers that have go all out on. If the French destroyers are running go all out, they absolutely can get inside 5 kilometers of detection, which is absurd considering how fucking strong those ships are. But their torpedoes and stuff generally are shorter range and all that, so there's a trade-off there, right? Specifically Kleber. But as we survive the like worst case scenario, we're going to try to push back around and get into a position. Our destroyer on the left finally decides to wake up. And again, this is stupid. I hate this. I hate AFK players, and I wish that every time that they did this, where they don't show up for half the match or they don't show up at all, I wish that they would receive some sort of temporary ban so that they can't play for a little while. Because they ruin everybody else's time because they're not playing the game. If you are playing the game, play the fucking game. Otherwise, don't hit the button to join the game. It's that simple. And I know I get flack for this all the time. It was Burton. You don't know what happened. That man was probably cooking something on the stove, and it caught fire. His child ran down the steps because the smoke detector's going off and tripped and fell and broke their ankle. Their wife was panicking, went outside and somehow set the dumpster on fire. Like, all of these things apparently happened. But the good news is Marceau gets spotted here just getting himself a little bit too aggressive, and this time the battleship captains actually shoot him. Crazy concept, I know. But as we've kind of wrapped back around, this team is going to hopefully get rid of this Marceau. You can see the one thing that nobody seems to remember is that the Shima does have guns, and the Japanese HE on the Shima hurts a lot. But you can see the Marceau does go down, and that is the last destroyer they have. And if you're the Marceau in this situation, you cannot do that. You can't. You cannot put yourself in a situation where you get killed like that because you have just threw the game for your team, right? Like, you have no chance at this point. Your team has no chance at this point because now, not only are we going to be able to do what we can to flip the caps and all that stuff, but we also have this Conqueror here pushing in. Again, like, these guys have the lead. Why are they throwing their ships away? Right? This is textbook just drives you bonkers as a veteran player of the game because you see this stuff all the time, and this is why I call it out. Like I said, I call everything out, whether it's my stupidity, which happens all the time, the friendlies' stupidity, the enemy's stupidity, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, the carriers. Like, it doesn't matter what you're in or what team you're on. If I see something, I call it out because we can all learn from it. Nobody's perfect. None of us. But this gives us a good chance to showcase just how, like, you can survive adversity. You can continuously, even in the worst case scenario as a destroyer, worst case scenario, you can still manage to keep your wits about you, get away from the threats, survive, and you are just as dangerous with 1,000 hit points or less than you are when you're full HP. Why? Because you have the ability to dictate your engagements, right? We didn't have the ability to dictate the engagement with the Marceau. We knew we had to get away from him, right? Like, we knew he was there, we knew he was chasing, we knew we had to get away. So we had to run. And he's faster than us, so he's able to catch us. Fortunately for us, he decided that we weren't the biggest problem. But that ends up biting him in the backside as we end up tearing up his team for over 120,000 damage, top of the leaderboard, 3K base. Again, just showcasing that the ship, like, it's not hard to play destroyers. You just have to keep yourself aware of what's around you. Do your job. Spot for your team. They're not always going to help you, all right? We all know this. Just like battleships, you're not always going to get a destroyer to spot for you. You're not always going to get cruisers to help you. You got to be able to understand what's around you, what your strengths, what your weaknesses are, and play to those strengths and weaknesses, and you will have a much better time as you get better and better at the game. Everything takes time. We make these for entertainment and for educational purposes. Everybody can learn a little bit here and there. So let me know down in the comments if you guys agree or disagree with everything I'm saying. To those of you destroyer mains out there that like to talk, go f yourself. We love you, but seriously, it's not that difficult to play destroyers at a high level. So let me know what you think, and if you like what I'm doing, punch a like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.